Hello, welcome to Vandy 24/7. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Luke Wyatt. We got a podcast for you today, as we usually do on Wednesdays, as I struggle to pull up the agenda. Here we go. Now we can get in the groove here. All right. Today, we will talk about Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt football following its 45-30 win over Auburn and its subsequent number 14 college football playoff ranking. We remind you before we begin, Vandy 24/7 football coverage is presented by former Vanderbilt kicker Joe Bulovas with Bulovas Wealth Management and of Raymond James. If there's one thing we all share, it's that our lives are unique. At Raymond James, we believe that's worth celebrating because financial planning isn't just about numbers and figures. It's about creating whether you're building a future or you're just preparing for retirement, a Raymond James financial advisor can guide you each step of the way, all while following a plan that is uniquely yours. That's life well planned. To learn more, call financial advisor Joe Bulovas with Bulovas Wealth Management of Raymond James at number 615-645-6742. Raymond James and Associates, member New York Stock Exchange, SIPC. Basketball season brought to you by the Wash House Commodores. It's time to win back your weekend. Skip the laundry pile. Let the Wash House Laundry Center handle that for you. Our new pickup and delivery service covers all of Nashville. We'll grab your laundry, wash, dry, fold, and deliver it right back to your door. That's more time for tailgates, highlights, and victory celebrations. Schedule your first pickup today at washhouseclean.com. The Wash House Laundry Center, the official way to stay fresh on game day. All right, trying out some new stuff on StreamYard today. So if you got a weird landscape view or portrait view on a phone, I guess that's designed for. I don't know what's going on there. Or maybe you're not seeing it. I hope you're not seeing it. Anyway, if you're watching on YouTube, you're probably not noticing an issue, at least on the laptop, or if you've got it turned to landscape mode. In any case, Luke Wyatt, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely, Chris. We had a fun weekend, but it was a stressful game, that's for sure. I don't think many people in that stadium thought we'd see 1,100 yards plus of offense and 45 points to win it. I thought if you told me that we scored 45, that would have been a blowout. But it wasn't. It was not what we thought, but that happens quite often. We won the game. That's all that matters. So moving forward.
Yeah. I was on record that I thought it would be more weird and maybe more points than people thought, but I didn't think 83 points would be the way it went.
No, we talked, Chris, last week. You and I talked, and I saw you and Seabass talk a little bit about it too, and you did. And patting you on the back there, you did call it. I said there was a wild card with their offense, and boy, did that turn out to be true. They went empty a whole lot. They did things that were uncharacteristic of what they've been doing. And I will say this. Now, we had some to do with it. I thought that quarterback played exceptional.
Yes.
Played that well. And again, we had something to do with it. We got his confidence going, I think. It was different, though, than the Texas game to me. To Texas, it was all missed tackles. Being in the right spot but not making the play. In this game, we weren't in the right spot a lot of time. We didn't set the edge a lot. The middle of the field was open. We didn't get there, at least in the first half, very much. I thought we did a little better job in the second half of getting pressure. But their pressure release was the middle of the field, right above the linebackers, and our backers didn't do a great job getting their drops. So therefore, he got confidence, got rolling. And they've got some talent, and we know that. We knew that all along, that they had talent, but Hugh was just not getting it out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've run into look, I think most of it is on the defense or some of it. I mean, they've got blame there. But I mean, I'll say this too. Like, there's been some guys that have played some unusually good games against him. Ashton Daniels probably, I'm going to guess, never played that well in his life. Garrett Nussmeier is making some pretty amazing throws. I think that you are seeing some guys have some really unusually good performances, which again, that does have a lot to do with them, but I don't think this is 100% Vanderbilt.
No, it's not. But I will say this now. to take blame for Vanderbilt. We have started slowly defensively in just about every game. And that what is get your confidence going from either your running game, passing game, quarterback, whatever it was. So therefore that sets the tone for the day. So we've got to do a better job. And I will defend this too. On the other hand, the first drives for both teams most of the time are scripted. So a lot of times those are the hardest drives to stop in the entire game.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and whenever you have the head coach getting fired and you have a different momentum, I don't know if you caught it, Chris, but right before the game, there was a little tiff, the two teams off. That told me right there that at least at the beginning of the game, Auburn was going to throw the first punch. And they did. And that set the tone for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I thought Auburn came in fired up. You mentioned that the little thing right before the game. I was like, okay, well, there's your answer to the question: is Auburn ready to play today? And then that 3rd and 19, I'm not entirely sure why they called a blitz there. That felt pretty uncalled for. But hey, that gave Auburn got 37, 39 yards and a first down, and I feel like that was like the play that maybe gave Auburn some confidence, and Vanderbilt on 3rd and long and just 3rd and everything just feels like it's been awful lately, especially 3rd and long.
Yeah, and I would love to see those stats, Chris. I don't know if you can pull them up, but how we do our 3rd down defense, how it would rank in the 16-team conference. Because I agree with you. It seems like, and of course, when you don't stop them, it's glaring. So you don't pay attention to the times that you do stop them. So part of it. But you're right. At least in the last couple of games, giving up 31 and 35 points, we've left a lot out there.
I want to say I looked this up a couple of days ago, and Vanderbilt was like in the low 80s. But I feel like a lot of that has been boosted recently. Like I felt like they were pretty good on 3rd down the first 2, 3, 4 games of the year. And lately it's just, and they were only, I think Auburn was only like 6 of 13 on Saturday, which doesn't feel right. Now there were some 4th down conversions, I think, and maybe some, I don't know, but anyway.
Well, I think Missouri game was our best defensive effort. And I think we probably did a great job that day getting off the field on 3rd down, hence only the 10 points scored.
Yeah. I mean, this team has got some weaknesses, and they're starting to pop a little bit, but I also feel like a week off is coming at the right time.
Perfect time. I couldn't be better. For us to survive Auburn and get to the off week, I think that's huge. I think you'll see a totally different team against Kentucky. Of course, I'm not going to try to predict the scoring anymore because when you think it's going to be a low-scoring game, it's not. And last 2 games, Kentucky's put up 34 against Tennessee and 30 however many against a Florida team that just basically quit the other night. I don't know if you watched any of that one, but, man, you talk about a team that laid down. Florida just laid down after the first quarter.
Well, there had been some talk about the injury report or the availability report is really what it is, that you had some guys that were just basically quitting or the coaching staff was feeling it and maybe put them on there themselves. So there were hints there with Florida. Diego Pavia, was that the best game you've ever seen a Vanderbilt player play? Because I don't know what would beat that.
Combined, yes. Throwing the ball, I remember Whit Taylor having 464 against Tennessee. I remember Kyle Schumer having similar numbers actually against Tennessee. There's been instances, but as far as basically putting a team on your back and winning a ball game, he and Eli Stowers together did that.
Yeah. Well, Auburn hadn't given up more than 24 points all year,
which is amazing. Like I said, if you gave up, we were going to give up 35, I said, well, that's an L. I thought 24 points would win that game.
I think considering spot, how far down they got, what was at stake, who they were playing in terms of the defense, I think that's the best game I've ever seen anybody play.
It was amazing. It really was. And when you go back and watch the highlights on Wheels, it's live. It's so many things that I don't know any other quarterback in the SEC would do. This Heisman talk and everything's one thing, But who does more for their team? If you want to describe it like that, there's no question he does more for this team than any team in the country.
Well, I know better than to doubt what he can do, but I'll tell you this: the first half, midway through the second quarter, I'm like, they are not winning this game.
Yeah,
and even late into that, and even when they got the touchdown, like, okay, now they got a shot. But you knew Auburn was getting the ball to start the second half, and also Auburn tacks on that field goal late. And just like, man, this is just not going to be their day.
Yeah. I mean, we couldn't stop them. They couldn't stop us. It was just a track meet. And again, when Vanderbilt and Auburn were playing, you certainly didn't expect that.
Yeah. Yeah. Where was it going to go? Well, you know what it is, though? Like, what is crazy is they score so quickly when they want to. Like,
yeah.
it went from it feels like they're out of this game to they were taking control of the game. I mean, just like that.
Well, think about last year and moving into this year. I always said was control the clock, run a bunch of RPOs, control the, get off the field and hold teams to field goals. That's the recipe to win. Well, the other day, the only thing we did that was within that recipe was the penalties. We only had 2 or 3. Auburn had like 11. So we won that big time. So Auburn helped us there. But everything else was uncharacteristic of what – I mean, there's a lot of times we went empty. People don't expect that from a Diego Pavia and a Tim Beck run offense.
I think I saw – I mean, they were so multiple in their formations. At one time, they had 3 tailbacks in the backfield. They had another formation or 2 where they had maybe 3 tight ends and a fullback. I mean, they did some stuff, and then they'd go in. I mean, they threw everything at all. Oh, and then tempo, which like they're unbelievably good in tempo.
Really good, and it's funny. I've watched it so much. A lot of times I can tell what the play is going to be, or when it's an RPO, you don't know for sure, but you can kind of tell which way it's going, whether to the strong side or not. And there were some plays I couldn't tell anything. I told my wife, I'm sitting there and I know it wears her out, but I was telling her, okay, this is the pass to Gabe Fisher over in the flat. Well, that happened to be the play that Diego, I think, kept it, and Gabe made a great block and blew the left defensive end off his feet. So it didn't go to Gabe, but Gabe was the key to the play.
Yeah, I feel like, and maybe it's just selective. Maybe they're so good that you notice when it doesn't work. But like I see sometimes when they're in jumbo like that with 2 or 3 tight ends and they're in short yardage, it doesn't go well. And I get what you're doing. You want extra blockers, but it also tips off the defense a lot of times as to what's coming. I feel like a couple of those didn't go so well. I think one, I don't remember what formation they were in. I think they were in something like that on the Pavia 4th down that failed, which, by the way, I still think – I was thinking at the time I would be going for it here because I don't trust right now, Auburn to come down and score a touchdown you thought was a possibility. I thought that going for it there was the right thing because you if it worked, you took away the possibility of Auburn scoring to tie or beat you. Whereas you kick a field goal, everything is still in play.
Chris, go back and watch that. I'm not so sure Diego didn't have the first down anyway.
People have said that. Yeah.
If he didn't get it, it was a football length. And the spot of the ball going for it on 4th down was also a little short. Now, it wouldn't have mattered because he got caught for a loss. But if that was the Missouri game and the game was going in that manner, I say you kick the field goal. But in that game, no one's stopping anybody. And I felt like it was whoever going to have the ball last was going to win.
You mean the play before?
Correct. Yeah.
And I remember people like that game happened so quickly you forget stuff. I think that live, I thought the same thing. I was like, wow, I thought he had gotten the first down. And then when the spot was where it was, it's like, well, I guess I just saw the play wrong. I haven't gone back and watched that one yet, but it did feel like I think I'd already, I'm taking notes and stuff. I think I'd already in my head gone, that's a first down. Now what? And then I looked up and like, oh, wait, you mean they've got 4th and so I think in the moment I did notice that too.
Help me with the rule on that, Chris. It used to be you could challenge something like that. I remember us beating Tennessee when we challenged a spot in Knoxville when James Franklin was here. Does that have to come from up top now to challenge the spot?
I think it can go either way. Now, wait, are there different rules in the final 2 minutes?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. I don't know.
Um, yeah, I mean, somebody in the chat will. I feel like in the back of my head, there's like a thing that you can't that the replays have to be from the booth in the last 2 minutes, but I could be dead wrong on all that.
Which that makes no sense because that's the most critical time. So
Right.
I don't. Maybe they need to look at that rule.
Yeah, somebody throw that in the chat. Trace is good with that kind of stuff. He'll have it for us. But yeah, I just it was funny now that I think about it. I had mentally flipped to okay, now they get a new set of downs. What do you
Right.
do? And I look up and it's like, wait, you mean it's fourth down? Um, yeah. So there's that. Man, I'm telling you what. I don't. I hate to ever make statements like this because I don't get to watch the rest of the country like I do the SEC. But he's got to be your player of the year in the league. I get that you got quarterbacks in all different stripes. Gunnar Stockton's doing great. Ty Simpson's had a nice season. I said I thought the head-to-head might hurt him. I think Diego's just had a better year than Simpson has at this point. Frankly, anybody. Sometimes we just, for whatever reason, we look at the passing stats and don't even post the rushing stats. I'm like, he's a top 10 runner in the conference. It's like people keep switching lanes on Diego Pavia, which tells you there's a lot of people that just can't stand the kid. Which I kind of get, but not real in a way I don't like. I mean, yeah, he's cocky, but I don't see him out there doing egregious stuff. I mean, the Alabama game was one thing, and that was a bad look for him. We called it out. He's been, hasn't done anything like that since. But it's like at first, it's like, oh, well, he's not putting up stats. Well, okay, watch the games and watch the plays he makes. And then last week he put up stats as like, oh, well, Texas just wasn't serious late in the game. Okay, fine. And now he's putting up stats. And it's just like, well, he's not the best player or whatever. Like it is amazing how quickly people keep changing, moving the goalpost on Diego Pavia.
Well, here's the reason why Diego Pavia is one of those guys that you love if he's on your team, and if he's kind of basketball like a what was the kid's name that played it?
Marshall Henderson.
He's a little bit like Marshall Henderson, that he does a lot of great things for your team, but sometimes you want to tell him to cool it. But you got to understand where Diego's come from and what he had to fight life. People don't look at it that way. I mean, grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's not going to act like that because he's never had to. Everything's always been easy for him. And I'm not trying to take Arch's talent, but I'm just saying he grew up with a silver spoon, whereas Diego Pavia grew up with plastic spoons.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like I never minded Marshall Henderson that much. I guess it's being in the media, not sitting in the stands and soaking it all emotionally. Like he was obnoxious, but he was pretty harmless, and I thought honestly pretty funny. Like I didn't like Diego flipping off the student section and stuff like that. But I mean, that kid's taken a lot of abuse. People just act like he's this awful human being. I'm like, no, he's a kid that came from nothing, has been doubted, and now he's having a little bit of fun.
Look, they wouldn't feel if we were sitting here at 4-7, no one would hate Diego Pavia.
Yeah, right.
They don't.
No.
Most of the time, he beats your butt. That's why they don't like him.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like right now, if you were picking the Heisman finalist, and here's another thing, by the way, we look at strength of schedule and we don't really say, oh, well, this team's good, but they're really good on offense and they're really bad on defense or vice versa. Like they have played some really, really good defenses this year. Like even though South Carolina's not had a good season, but it's been pretty solid defensively.
Right.
Auburn Auburn and Missouri were probably top 5 defenses in the country when they played them. You could maybe say the same thing about LSU. Texas has got more NFL talent on defense than anybody. Like, I don't understand why that's not a talking point. It's not just that he's putting up numbers. It's not just that he's making plays. They are playing as tough a schedule defensively as maybe anybody sees. And they're 7th in the country in yards per play.
Chris, I look at these last 2 games coming up, and I think we're going to have two two more stressful games that are very similar to what we saw Saturday.
I'm not as sure on. Here's the weird thing. I feel better about both those games after they got through Auburn. You heard me. I've been consistent all week. I said Auburn, that one, if it doesn't scare the socks off you, it should.
Yep.
I feel like with Tennessee, I feel confident now, like, okay, the defense will get rested, and I think we'll get a little better. And now they've got 2 weeks. You got a head coach who was a defensive mind. You've seen better things out of their defense. Now, I don't think they're gonna stop Tennessee, but I think by the time they get, they'll have 2 weeks to look at film and fix stuff and get guys healthy and make some adjustments. I think the defense will be better against Kentucky. I'm not going to say they're going to win easily, but it wouldn't shock me. And I think Tennessee now, I've kind of moved from I don't think they'll win that game to I think if I had to pick it right now, I would probably take them to win because I think they can go to Knoxville and just keep throwing punches at Tennessee and might have one more in them than Tennessee does. And a lot of that's just maybe all of it is because of Diego.
Well, and I'm interested to see how Tennessee plays these next 2 games. Obviously, New Mexico State, that's like a scrimmage. They'll be fine. They'll win that one by 70 points or something. But then when they play Florida, now has Florida completely quit on the season or they just quit the other night? That'll be interesting to see. They've got Ole Miss Saturday. I got a feeling Ole Miss is going to blow them out of the place.
Take it to them.
And just take it to them. And if that happens, how many guys will actually show up and play against Tennessee? I don't know. So there's that variable. I will tell you this, though, and I know a lot of Tennessee fans, and I know a lot of that's the last thing they want is Vanderbilt to be 10-2, go to the playoffs possibly, and them be sitting at 7-5 or 8-4.
Yeah,
that's their worst nightmare. They can say all they want about beating Alabama or beating Georgia or whoever. That's their worst nightmare.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like what shows up.
Right, I am too.
And I think Florida beating Tennessee would be a good thing for Vanderbilt.
I do too. Here's the thing, Chris. Think about it. Just go back. The new coach took over at Florida, and they played Georgia off their feet. Okay, but once that was over, I think they thought, well, that's it. We're done. So they go get blown out by Kentucky.
Yeah.
30. So that's my question. Are they done completely for the year for these next 2 they got left or 3 actually they have left? Or is there something left in the tank for Florida?
Yeah, that's what I don't know. And like how much of that was it's cold weather at night in Lexington?
Right.
I mean, I think that, yeah.
I'm sorry, excuse me. I don't know who Auburn has left besides Alabama, but to me, Auburn looked like a team, even though, and DJ Durkin brought this up. He said, we got coaches calling our players, trying to get them out of here and all that, and their minds are divided. But those kids showed up and played hard Saturday.
Yeah.
They really did. Obviously played their best offensive game all year. But how will they do in a game against Alabama? You would think they would play lights out as hard as they can to beat Alabama, but you don't ever know.
I think if I'm Alabama, I'm scared to death of Auburn. That game is in Auburn. Now, they both have tune-up games. Auburn's got Mercer, and Alabama's got Eastern Illinois, neither of which are any good. At least I don't think Mercer's good this year. Sometimes it is. But Auburn's got a bye week this week. Alabama's got 4 straight games. LSU last week and Oklahoma this week. I mean, the script for that, to me, sets up, I think, pretty well for Auburn. So wouldn't be shocked if Auburn beat Alabama into the year. We'll see how that goes. Playoff rankings. What did you think of those? Vanderbilt at 14.
It's obvious to me we got 4 teams need one more loss. Texas, Oklahoma, BYU, and Utah. And I'm not so sure how it's going to work out playoff-wise between Utah and BYU. Could they play again? Texas Tech's in, I think, no matter what. So I think that's the thing. We've got to get one more loss out of each of those teams.
Yeah, I don't have people have all this outrage over the playoff and rankings. I don't have a lot of bones to pick.
I don't either.
Notre Dame is a popular target because people hate Notre Dame. I got no problem with that. Notre Dame right now, I mean, right now, Notre Dame might beat anybody if they line up and played this weekend.
Yeah, I see the bias for Notre Dame, though. I do.
I get it.
There is. And if it comes down to Vanderbilt and a toss up with, say, an Oklahoma or Texas, one of two things are going to matter. Will they, Diego is a national story. He's not just a SEC or a local story. Diego's a national story. So how much, we all know this is all about money. And so will they take a Vanderbilt over a Texas or an Oklahoma? With Texas's brand, Diego alluded to it in a pregame thing where he said, yeah, they're Louis Vuitton and we're bargain basement. He said that. So how will that be viewed by the committee?
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? I'll tell you where I'm most off with the committee, and I get it, a one-loss team. I think that Georgia Tech and Virginia, particularly Virginia, are rated way too high. I mean, Virginia I don't think is that good of a team, and its resume is really not all that. I mean, best win would have been, okay, they beat Florida State at home, lost to Louisville, lost to NC State, both those on the road. Beat Washington State, North Carolina, Cal. I may have something wrong in Virginia's record here, but I don't, that's one that I've had an issue with.
Yeah, I watched them a little bit because I have a friend, Brian Josie, who played at Vanderbilt's son, is the starting left guard for them, right? Noah Josie. So I watched them from time to time, and they're a good, solid football team. But I mean, are they as good as Auburn? No, they're not. So Auburn's what, 10th, 11th, 12th in the SEC?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. And I don't know Louisville. I watched them get beat. Them getting beat at home. That's tough. Now I'm actually going to that game Friday night, Louisville and Clemson. I'm going to say hi to Robbie Caldwell and some other people I know. That's going to be fun up in Louisville. So I'll have a good report from that one.
Is Robbie's like support staff or something?
He's in
Clemson,
charge.
Right?
Like when all the recruiting visits and high school recruiting. Yeah, he's I talked to him last night. He's loving life. He enjoys it.
Good.
He was over the moon about Vanderbilt. He said, "I'm so happy for Clark and all those former players."
Yeah, please send him my best. I think there's nobody that's ever been a part of Vanderbilt athletics that I like more than Robbie Caldwell.
He's a good one. He's great.
Yeah, I'm just not. I'm still not convinced. 9-3 Texas is a problem. You need Texas to lose twice.
See, let me push back on that.
I'm not convinced 9-3 Oklahoma couldn't be. I don't think 9-3 Oklahoma gets in over 10-2 Vandy, but we went through this whole thing in the offseason about looking at the body of work and the resume and who you beat. And then we do this thing where we're like, okay, you lose a game at Ole Miss, a close one. And somehow that's like this scarlet letter on your resume that somebody else has balanced out by just beating the tar out of, I don't know, New Mexico State.
Well, I'll push back a little bit on that, on the Texas thing, and here's why. To me, if Vanderbilt would have lost at home to Texas by 3 points, I think you're right. 9-3 Texas. Yeah, but losing on the road by 3 at Texas, I mean, how can you? That and Alabama's the only 2 losses. If that happens, and we don't, an SEC team doesn't get in, and they go 10-2, and their only losses are at Alabama and at Texas, you got to convince me of that, man.
Well, and I get it, but like if the shoe's on the other foot, say Missouri is 10-2. At the end of the year, which it's not going to be, but okay, 10-2 Missouri, 10-2 Vandy, you lost a 1-score game with the Hail Mary at the buzzer. If the shoe were on the other foot, I think everybody'd say, well, hey, Vanderbilt beat them head to head, case closed. I mean, people just kind of pick whatever lane they want. I get it. I'm not saying you're like 100% wrong, but Texas was also preseason number one. Now look, I have an issue with Texas. Like, Texas played some crummy games, and I think that ought to matter. I think overtime, Mississippi State and Kentucky, okay, that ought to be something considered too. But anyway.
No, I agree with you.
Let's see what else I've got here. Oh, I know what I was going to go with next. Clark Lee's contract, where do we think that is? Where do we think that settles?
Well, I think there's so many variables in this. Number one, I think what Clark is going to get paid will be taken care of. I don't think that's an issue. Fighting for the other things, the facilities, the money for assistants, that's the stuff that I'm sure is still being negotiated. I don't think any of us, Jimmy Sexton probably has a better idea of where things are than any of us, including Clark. But, look, I think it may take till after the season for it all to get done, all of it. But I think you could hear something soon about Clark's decision whether to stay or go.
Okay, explain something to me. This happens. You've got these dueling narratives. Vanderbilt's got money. It's got donors coming out of the woodwork. Money will be no problem. And then I hear keeping assistants may be an issue. Commitment to facilities may be an issue. Like, tell me, I have an idea, but I don't want to bias your answer, and I want to hear your take on this first.
I'm going to give you an analogy that's kind of weird, but I want you to stay with me on it, okay? All right, let's you go buy a car. You're going to buy a new car. And you go in and you're speaking to a salesman. And that salesman says, okay, the sticker price here with the addendum is $54,000. And you say, well, I don't want the addendum because the addendum is really BS because it's talking about undercoating and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So immediately you say, I'm paying from this price. We're going to start dickering at $50,000, not $54,000. And then he says, well, let me go back to my manager and run it up the flagpole and see what we can do. That's where Vanderbilt is. That's being run up the flagpole. All that is negotiating tactics on both sides. So neither one admit to that right now. And we all know how the pecking order goes over there. And it's if one thing is a stopping, there's not a stopgap that's 100% until you get to Daniel Dearmeyer.
Yeah, which we believe is where this is settling right now at the.
It has to be
chancellor level. Yeah.
Chris, again, I worked for 40 years in athletics. I worked for, I think it was 7 different athletic directors. There was only one athletic director that truly ran all facets of the athletic department. Only one. That was Rory Kramer. After Rory Kramer, starting with Paul Houlihan and moving forward, all of them had limitations on what they could do.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's changed.
The school has run the athletic department as long as I've covered it. I mean, that's what people have heard me say this before, but like, if you understand it, and I didn't understand this for the longest time, when David Williams took control of the athletic department, even though he wasn't athletic director, he had the whole, well, we don't have an athletic. That was the school's chess move.
Mm-hmm.
There's only been one athletic director since we've done this, and it was the Malcolm Turner year. Everything else has been a power grab from the top, with 2 people who didn't go through an interview process. They both of them just took the job, and so you've had the athletic director has been controlled by the Kirkland wing of campus for 21 of the 22 years I've done this. Because nobody that was, again, that was a David move. David just said, I'd like control of it, and Todd Turner, you're gone. Nobody was, clamoring for Todd to be dismissed from what I've heard.
No, you're absolutely right. Now, a couple of variables there. When Gordon Gee was there with David Williams, Gordon nicked some stuff. I know that for a fact. He told David. Once Gordon left, it was wide open, man. David could do whatever he wanted to do because he was in Kirkland more than he was in the athletic department. Yeah. So And then as time went on, those last couple of years, Candace, who had babysit his children and stuff and became real close, Candace really was doing making a whole lot of decisions there toward the end of David's tenure.
Yeah, from what, like 16 on?
I don't want to
16,
get
17. Yeah.
a date when it
Yeah.
all started. I just know that whenever I had any issues or whatever, and my supervisor, it was always, we got to run it up the flagpole to Candace. We don't want it to get to David, which was absolutely asinine. But and let me give you an example of how college athletics is run now. And Chris, you remember when it used to be a lot of the athletic directors were former coaches.
Uh-huh.
Not anymore. And you're seeing that at Tennessee. That they were upset with the Tony Vitello thing because Danny White basically didn't even know Tony Vitello. He just relationship with him. He talked about it, and even in his press conference, he said, "Well, my lieutenants know the coaches. I'm too busy to know the coaches." So basically, they're just bean counters. They make all the decisions, sports and that type of thing. But when you go to football, basketball, sometimes baseball, sometimes women's basketball, those decisions, the big ones now, it's not made in a vacuum anymore by an athletic director.
Negotiation. I'm just wondering how much of an issue still, given what we know about control. And again, I think Daniel Diermeyer is the best thing that's happened, but I still think you're fighting a state that had been set up and had run the place for a couple of decades before you got there. So you got to pick your battles. How much is the resource thing of, the old thing that existed for decades of, okay, dollar to athletics is, a dollar we don't get somewhere else. I mean, is that again, I don't think it's like it was 4 or 5 years ago. I don't, for the record, but I still wonder how much there is an element of that, and maybe warding off of the money from certain parts of the school. I'm not reporting. Right. I don't know. I'm just asking because I don't get this whole, there's money, there's donors coming out of the woodwork. There's people that want to donate to athletics and are filthy rich that hadn't been there before, to this thing where these things that get done with nobody blinking at the other 15 schools, we're sitting here weeks in negotiation and those things don't appear to be settled.
I think they're anonymous donors, and I think that's part of your problem. Let's just say Joe Thompson, who you've never heard of, wants to give $10 million to football. They got to figure out how they want to do it, how they can do it, and that type of thing. I just think there's a lot of that at Vanderbilt. It's not a consistent, it's not like the Haslams at Tennessee or how it used to be with John Ingram here. It's certain people that they pluck from Texas and California and New York, have money that haven't ever given to athletics before. And all of a sudden they're excited because they're like, wow, this is the front porch. Look at this. This kid from New Mexico State has turned Vanderbilt. Everybody, enrollment's up or applications are up. Athletics do matter, guys. So the eggheads a little bit are coming to their senses a little bit.
Well, are you saying that it's still a thing where, okay, well, we found this new donor with tens of millions of dollars. Hey, Joe, would you like to take some of the money for football and give to something else on campus instead? Is that still going on?
I think that still happens. I don't think there's any doubt because it happened. Like I said, it happened to me. And there's no reason that years ago it happened to me. I mentioned it last episode. I don't think that changes. And I don't think that's just Vanderbilt. I don't. I know a lot of schools. I talked to my friend at Northwestern. Very similar. Very similar.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the difference is a lot of these, just you're dealing with stuff that's piled up for so long. I feel like athletics ought to take some priority.
If they don't understand that you're striking while the iron's hot, and I'm not just talking about football. Right now, there's 9 teams and possibly 10 in the preseason rankings or whatever that are top 25 teams. I mean, basketball is not in the top 25, but they're 15th in KenPom.
They should be.
They should be, yes. But you're talking 9 of your 16 sports, you've got 9 or 10 that are in top 25. That's doing a good job.
Yeah. Anything else, or are we ready for the mailbag here?
I think I'm ready for the mailbag.
Okay. Let me find the mailbag. Here it is. Okay, mailbag presented by Sutherland and Belk, a family-owned injury law firm. If you or a loved one has been hurt in an accident, give Taylor or Russell a call, 615-846-6200, see what your rights are and if they can help. The longest-running sponsor of the show. Really, really appreciate Taylor and Russell for what they've done. And hopefully you do not need an injury attorney, but if you do, that's your go-to people. Love those guys. Guest line presented by John Levin and Womble Bond Dickinson, also game and packaging systems, leaders in end-of-the-line packaging automation. They're friends of the show. We appreciate them. Okay, the mailbag. Amberjack Door, how concerned are you with the defense right now?
I'm concerned with the wear and tear of the season on them because let's go back to game one. What are we as a defense? What's our identity? Our identity is to run to the ball, rally to the ball, make tackles in the open field, and hold teams to field goals. Okay, well, we've let go of the rope, so to speak, in the last couple of games to where we haven't tackled well, we haven't rallied to the ball well. Getting back to that after the off week, I think, is a key, and I think it will happen.
You know, something somebody brought up on the board, their defensive backs do not make aggressive plays on the ball. And that, like, something I really liked about Jesse Minter when he was here is they did that and they got some picks that way. They don't do that at all. And they also do the things that defense is designed not to do, which is break.
Right. And I will say this now, and I'm not defending Clark or Steve Gregory or Bob Shoop or anybody, but when you've been able to win and they look up at all you look at is they keep that scoreboard. Left is win, right is loss. And we're sitting at 8-2. I think they think, well, look, offensively, we can cover up for some of if we can just let these catch the ball in front of us. And we are, you're right. We're catching more than being aggressive. And I think that's by design.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna, if they get to the playoff, they're gonna take an L pretty quickly unless they fix. I mean, you just get the thing is you just got the offense is so good, it's just got to get a little bit better. And I don't see a path to it without that.
See, and I think it will. I think that we're not looking at how much time off your feet means this time.
Well, yeah, I was about to correct myself. You're right. I mean, the time off is going to help them. I'm not going to say there's no path because that will.
Yeah, it has to. It has to help them. And then it's, look, every coach that's ever been at Vanderbilt, when you get ready, if we beat Kentucky, every coach has been at Vanderbilt. The week of the Tennessee game, you don't have to say nothing. If you have to say something, then you're not going to win anyway.
You've already lost. Yeah. Black Gold VU, how does the stadium atmosphere in the past couple of games, LSU, Missouri, Auburn, compared to those in y'all's past experience?
For me, I mean, it's been that way a couple of I'm so old, it goes back to when it was full of Vanderbilt fans. In the 80s, even when Watson Brown wasn't winning and George McIntyre was there, we would have 41,000 people and 40,000 of them would be Vanderbilt fans. But that was pre-Titans, pre-Predators, a lot of things, I guess, so it was great then. But what they've done, and I want to give athletic department a ton of credit for this, the game day atmosphere is better than it's ever been, ever. Nothing. The DJ stuff, the music they play, the choices, the timing of it, they've done a great job. They have that part of it. We're still at, it's usually around 23 to 25,000 Vanderbilt, and you've still got 10 to 12,000 of the other fans. But we're getting better at that as well.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's the best I've ever seen. I mean, Franklin, those years you might have had more Vanderbilt fans by percentage, but I don't ever remember it being this electric at times. And that, again, that's even with a lot of visitors in the place because their stuff with knowing whoever's doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Like turn the music like that. They deserve a raise and hey, tell us what you want. The only thing I would change, I think you could bring in a DJ and just make it electric the whole time. Yeah. But that's not much left to do. They have killed it with that as much as they've killed with anything in recent years.
The most exciting thing to me has been seeing a lot of dads at the game and a lot of families at the game. So you're getting new Vanderbilt finally. And of course, it takes winning to get people to spend their dollars, their hard-earned dollars on it. And right now, the Titans are down. The Predators are average as grits. So, it's probably the best game.
Kind.
Vanderbilt basketball and Vanderbilt football is the best game in town right now.
Pepperdor VS. How about a coach as Hugh Freeze to have his team transform into a playoff contender post-firing?
Well, I hate for Coach Freeze how it happened. I don't know him at all, but I don't wish anything bad on him. I know he's battling some health problems. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, obviously he didn't do a good job. Whether he was separated in his mind because of those health problems, I don't know. We don't walk in his shoes. But, yeah, it would be concerning to me if you put up 38 and the most you put up is 23 and you're supposed to be an offensive guru.
Who finishes higher? This is from NBA Door in the AP poll: Vandy football, Vandy men's basketball, Vandy women's basketball.
Well, if we win out football, but between the other two, I would say women's basketball because I've watched them play twice and they're really, really good. They could be top 4 in the conference. Men could be too. Men are awfully good. I still have some doubts defensively how good we are in men's basketball, but it's so early, you can't tell that yet.
Yeah, I mean, my gut is men's basketball, but you got the football team sitting here at 14 with winnable games. So,
yeah. Let's look at this, Chris. Where do you think they would finish in the final poll if we win the next 2 and then lose in the first round of the playoffs? But we'd still finish in the top 20, right?
Oh, yeah, easily. Yeah. Probably the top 12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Stevie U98, what changes should the defense make in the off week, and the same for the offense?
Well, I think it's just more of the same. Again, it was 2 different reasons for the defense looking bad in the last 2 games. It was missed tackles in the Texas game, and it was not rallying to the ball when you did have a missed tackle. That instead of downing the ball at a 20-yard gain, they're getting 60 or taking it to the house. The other day, it was getting caught off guard with a new offensive scheme and also a hot quarterback who we allowed to get hot because of our poor defense starting the game.
More from Steve. What areas do we need to improve to beat Tennessee?
I think the Tennessee game is going to be one we got to outscore them. I do. I think their receivers are elite. Aguilar, when he has time, is a good quarterback. I'm not sure that there's anything different we have to do except don't get beat over the top for those long passes where you make them take a little time to score.
Here's one: force more than a turnover every other game.
Oh, I agree with that. No doubt.
Yeah.
We haven't. We do have to keep our penalties down like we did against Auburn, because if our penalties had matched Auburn's, we wouldn't have won Saturday. That actually might have been the difference in the game.
Yeah. Steve had a question about the third down play, why it wasn't reviewed. We hit that, and people in the chat saying that's got to be Booth initiated. So, I mean, hey, here's another thing. Couple of things went against them. I mean, that touchdown on the press box side where there was that was a hold, that was a takedown. Now look, they've had 1 or 2 go their way. The Missouri hold could have been called on the biggest play of the game. So I get that. But anyway, it didn't. I mean, and although Auburn did get whistled for more penalties than Vanderbilt did, not saying that was undeserved, but
I've never
it did
4 face masks in one game.
More face masks?
There was 4. I think it was 4 against Auburn. Oh, 3. I want to say there was a 4th one, but maybe not. That's a lot of face masks in the game.
Midge VU explained the attendance Monday night at the women's game versus Furman. He says that's a joke, so I guess you don't have to answer that, unless you want to. So
I don't know what that means. No.
Well, Shea Ralph complained, said there need to be more fans in the building, but I think that's going to be a minute before that happens. If you had to put money on it, will Tennessee Tech put the Wildcats to bed for us? Wings up.
Listen, I'm very intrigued by that game.
Yeah.
I've watched Tech on film. Pretty darn good, man. That they really are. Now, will they hold up in the lines of scrimmage? I don't think so. But you never know. If Tech comes out, the Kentucky turns it over a couple times, Tech could beat them.
Do they run like a gimmicky offense or defense or anything like that?
No, they're pretty straight. Really talented quarterback, a couple of good running backs. They're solid. I mean, for the level of football they play, they could play for that championship, I think.
Raiders 1967, Luke, with the trip to Knoxville coming soon. Can you share how 95, a 38-point underdog Vanderbilt team went to Knoxville, led late in the game before losing 12-7? What did you see in the team the day before it gave that special effort?
Well, for Vanderbilt fans, this is going to make you even more mad if you didn't see this game. We were ahead 7-6, and of course this was before replay. We stopped on third down with, I think there was 2:38 to play, maybe something like that, 2:30 something. So we're going to get the ball back up 7-6. After the play is ran, or during the play, a flag comes out. Jay Stallworth lined up in the neutral zone. Go back
after the play.
After the play, well, after it started, it wasn't like as soon as the ball snapped, you throw it. It was like they threw it incomplete, flag came out. So I thought it was a hold or something like that. And then they say Jay Stallworth, number 89, lined up in the neutral zone. And you go back and watch film, didn't happen.
Yeah.
But that was before replay. And then when like I've told this story before, I had a referee tell me one time, Luke, if y'all beat Florida today, it costs the league $1 million. That's a referee telling. So you can say what you want to about things being not fixed, but being biased. It happens, not just to Vanderbilt, to a lot of teams.
ACAR 11, we all know Vandy is overdue for a stadium song. May I suggest Family Tradition by Hank Williams Jr.?
I love the Johnny Cash thing that we do before the game. You can go on for a long time.
Oh, yeah. That's good. I still would like something a little, Motley Crue-ish when the team comes out of the tunnel, little Kickstart My Heart, something like that would be electric.
Yeah. I think they've done a great job with everything. I can't nitpick on that.
Yeah. And the Phil Collins thing in the fourth quarter, is that the first time they've done that? That was pretty cool.
They did it. What was the other night game? Was it Missouri? It seemed Missouri.
Charleston Southern.
Man, they've done it once before, I know. Same thing with Shout. Excuse me, pardon my language. They've done that every game except one. I think they missed doing it in the Missouri game, but the Shout thing is really good too. They usually time that really good.
Yeah. Again, they just I cannot. I think of all the things that are stunning. This season obviously, but just like the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Just in like that, everybody loves that Phil Collins song.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something like, yeah, I just whoever's pulling the strings with that is doing a phenomenal job. What does a typical bye week look like this late in the season? More walkthrough and film sessions, or still putting on pads and hitting regularly? That from Braves Doors 13.
Days off. In other words, after that ball game, I'm not sure, they probably did soft tissue recovery the next morning, next day, and next afternoon. But then they let the kids go for a little bit. If they got classes or whatever and they can't leave, I know Diego took off and went some places. A lot of them. And they needed to get away from football for about 48 to 72 hours. And I think they'll practice twice this week. I'm not sure if they're done. They may have already done it. And start back Sunday. I think Friday and Saturday they're off.
Raiders 1967, following up on the wonderful Billy Derrick and Joe Bullavis podcast with Jordan Matthews. Can you discuss how knowing Jordan in his playing days, or can you discuss knowing Jordan in his playing days and what it means for him to be coaching at Vanderbilt now?
Jordan was a workaholic. Jordan's a great kid. I mean, it was more like, he would come in. He's the kind of kid, that would come in the middle of the day and get a bag of footballs and go outside and work on the jugs machine when between classes. He's just the kid worked his way into being a great receiver.
Yeah.
To be a coach fits him to a T.
The best practice player I've ever seen at Vanderbilt, hands down.
Yeah, I'll tell you another one who rivaled him was Trent Sherfield. Trent did the same work ethic-wise. Trent was not as talented as Jordan.
Yeah.
But man, himself into a good receiver who's made a living playing in the NFL, and I'm so proud of him. Trent would be in there at 4.
I always rooted for like the transition from defensive back, sticking through it with the transition on the coaches. Like that I remember the Houston game they played, and he just had an awful game.
Yeah.
He worked so hard. To see him in the NFL, and I think still in the NFL, like I always really respected and admired kids like that. I remember we dealt with him. He was always humble. Yeah, I'm with you. Like you really, really root for kids like that. So
yeah.
More stuff about the defense I think we've hit. Okay, Foghorn, where are we most banged up? What position groups have the best opportunity to improve with the bye week?
I think defensively we're the most banged up. You can see it by the aggression. Listen, when you're not feeling good and you're hurting and you're aching all over, you don't come with your 100% sometimes. I know every coach and tries to say, hey, you got to, but sometimes working through pain can make a coward out of you every once in a while. That's why, once again, this off week is huge for us.
Well, and if they do get to the playoff, then you are looking at, that you get, a couple more weeks because you don't have a championship game. Like you remember how well they played in the bowl game. So, I mean, and everybody gets that to the most part, although a team that goes to a title game, that's another week of wear and tear. So
I'm so glad will not play in the SEC championship game. I'm glad of that part. I'd much rather get in the other way.
Yeah, I knew I was forgetting something, and it's the playoff stuff. I'm a little concerned. I just think this whole we're giving out 5 bids to conference champions thing just feels like that's got the opportunity to knock somebody out of this that belongs there.
Well, isn't there a chance the ACC won't get one?
Yeah, but here's the problem, and this is what I don't get. Like, if the ACC doesn't get one, that means you get 2 group of 5 champions in, if I'm reading it right. I hadn't quite figured out how that happened. Like, Duke right now is 5-4 and is in the mix for the ACC title game. Like, I think Miami is going to have here's what I fear. Miami could go remember, Miami's got to win over Notre Dame. They're 1 spot behind Vandy now. That's concerning. Miami's got a chance against Pitt. If Miami goes unbeaten and goes 10-2, I don't think it will probably make the ACC title game. And then what happens if, the ACC either gets Georgia Tech in or somebody like that who wins the, or here's your nightmares here. Get Duke in. Wins the title game. You could either Duke is in the playoff at that point, or you're looking at maybe, gosh, let me see how I've got. You could have, I think, potentially South Florida, which is ranked, get as bid as a conference champion, and James Madison out of the Sun Belt, which I don't think is that different from South Florida. So then that's where I start to get concerned, is now you've stolen a couple of bids by teams that don't have any, or one or two. That's what I'm worried about, because you're starting off for 7 spots to begin with, instead of what I think should be, I don't know. I just don't like 5 conference champions getting auto bids, but that's what we built into the system.
Yep. If we go 10-2 and we don't get in, I'm going to be just as happy because I know we're deserving, and that's fine.
Yeah.
If you told me, Chris, in August that we were only going to lose 2 games to Texas and Alabama and weren't going to get in the playoffs, I'd tell you you're crazy.
Yeah. I've been working on this article to kind of spell all of it out. And it's just so complicated. I'm like, I don't want to miss something. And my time to write expanded stuff that takes actual hours of thought is just not what it used to be. But I've been working on that to kind of lay it all out. So anyway, hey, Luke, thanks for joining us. You got something else before we go?
No, I'm good.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. God bless you. We'll see you again soon. Might have an episode of the podcast out tonight. We'll see. No promises. But anyway, thanks for watching. God bless you. We'll see you again soon at Vandy 24/7.